a missing brother, astral messages, paranatural powers, and a random photo projector slide? What do these things have in common? Remedy Entertainment's 2019 video game Control, of course. My name is Nicole Bryn. Welcome to Control's Cross-Examination. Today we will be looking at the plot of this story to give my review, honest review, on this video game. But before we get into that, we must get into the profile of Jesse Faden, the player character. Before the events of the game, on August 30th, 2002, at 11 years old, Jesse and her brother Dylan Faden, 10 years old, went to the landfill they often played in. However, this day was different, as it had shifted through reality, enabling them to walk through dimensions to where they found an object of power. Objects of power are items that have supernatural abilities, whether useful or destructive. They are connected to the astral plane, and people with supernatural or paranatural abilities can connect to these objects.
Objects of power can cause or be results of AWE's altered world events, intrusions upon the perceived reality.
The object of power that Jesse and Dylan discovered was the slide projector, which has the ability to traverse several dimensions depending on the slide that you have for the projector. Although the kids do disagree on the amount of slides that they had, but either way, finding this object of power set off a domino of events known as the Ordinary AWE. After the discovery, they showed several friends who all explored these different realms. One of these realms is where Jesse and Dylan connected to an entity that they named Polaris, but more on this entity later. Unfortunately, the secret of the projector was discovered by one of the kids' bullies who stole the object. His gang of friends now traversed these dimensions until they got corrupted enough that they committed murder. Subsequently, they were all taken to prison while Jesse, directed by Polaris, managed to shut down the projector. Jesse then decided to burn all of the slides except for Slidescape 36, or what they call Hand, the one that Polaris came from.
She saved me and Dylan.
Jesse.
No! It was a cover-up. The government knows about it. There were agents there.
When the Federal Bureau of Control, the people who deal with a lot of these objects of power and events like this, when they arrived, the kids led them to the projector. However, they attempted to apprehend the two kids as well as the object of power. Jessie escapes, but her brother, unfortunately, does not.
The industrial accident in your hometown?
It wasn't an accident. There was no industrial accident.
Your brother and your parents are dead.
No. Dylan's not dead. They took Dylan. I'll find them.
Jessie would be filled with guilt about this event for the next 17 years while she searched for Dylan and this mysterious bureau. She worked any random job she could find, drifting from residences. The only thing she had to find the FBC was Polaris, who sent telepathic messages. Until September 24th, 2019, Jessie became convinced that Polaris was leading her to New York City. When Jessie arrived on October 29th, she was guided by Polaris to the oldest house, a skyscraping place of power. A place of power is a location that has been invaded by paranatural forces, and the location itself is paranatural. They operate under their own laws of reality and physics.
August 4th, 1964. We discovered the oldest house while investigating a suspected altered world event case in the New York City subway tunnels. Once we became aware of it, it was there. For the rest of the population, it was hiding in plain sight, a slippery blind spot, seemingly discouraging observation. After extensive research and investigation, the Bureau made the building its headquarters on November 13th, 1968.
The oldest house is the headquarters of the FBC, where the Bureau conducts research on events and objects like the one that Jesse experienced. It contains hundreds of objects of power and altered items. Altered items are very similar to objects of power in that they do have supernatural abilities as well, but they are not connected to the astral plane and they can't be bound to a person like an object of power. So all objects of power are altered items, but not altered items are objects of power. At this point, Jesse is quite stoic, but also quietly determined and guarded. The first person she meets is a mysterious janitor named Ahti. When the oldest house was first discovered in 1964, Ahti made his first known appearance as an older Finnish man with a friendly yet unsettling personality, as people describe. He appears several times throughout the game, having abilities of telepathy and teleportation, and serving as another guide for Jesse. He instructs her to assist with tasks that seem menial but are vital to the safety of the people in the building. Unfortunately, we don't know much else about Ahti, as the Bureau has investigated him plenty of times to no avail. When Jesse meets Ahti, he directs her to an office where she finds the body of Zachariah Trench, the former director who had shot himself in the head moments before. I couldn't find any dates relating to Trench's timeline, but Trench clearly worked at the Bureau for a long time before he became director. After the loss of his daughter due to his work with the Paranatural, his wife left him, so he became fully dedicated to the FBC. After the director of his time died, Trench was selected to be the new director.
There were no prime candidates waiting in the wings, but I was there. Had been the whole time, keeping my head down, working my ass off. I had nothing to lose. I picked up the gun almost on a dare.
He was seen as diligent and hardworking as he beefed up the FBC's security and put in place management teams and backup plans for director. He was the director during the ordinary AWE and kept one of the damaged slides that Jesse had failed to fully burn.
The projected image from each slide is a physical portal into another dimension. Only one slide remains. Dylan's sister burned the rest in ordinary before we could intercept.
Dr. Casper Darling is a head member of Trench's team and was a close ally. We see him a lot in videos as we discover objects and places, serving as a storyteller for us.
Welcome to the research sector of the Federal Bureau of Control. I'm Dr. Casper Darling, head of research. An early hypothesis was that the mindscape of the astral plane is subjective. But that was fast proven wrong. It's an actual place, not a construct of the mind, even though it is with our minds that we enter and experience it.
He runs the research division, was involved in the ordinary AWE, as I mentioned, and is now Dylan's supervisor after Dylan had been contained. Darling deemed Dylan an extraordinary para-utilitarian, one of the best. Dylan was placed into the Prime Candidate program that prepared people with abilities to be the next director. He is now known as Prime Candidate 6 or P6 by most of the FBC. More on this later. Over the years, expeditions went into the only accessible slidescape, number 36, where Polaris originated. But Dr. Darling calls it Hedron when they find it, based on the physical shape that we can see. Before Darling and Trench can bring back Hedron or Polaris to the FBC, they're both affected by two separate resonance energies.
Yes. Expedition 3. We located the source of the resonance in Slidescape 36.
Darling describes Hedron's resonance as beyond our understanding and becomes obsessed with it. He exposed himself to this resonance where he began to get messages from her like Jesse did.
I will dedicate I'm never going home.
Whereas Trench was influenced by a malevolent force, Jesse coins as the Hiss.
But I did find my meaning in that desert. A sound, like a needle drilling in, cutting through the containment suit, reverberating in the base of my skull. My whole being.
Trench believed this entity was benign or could help the Bureau, but he was wrong. It was taking over him. It was making him turn against the people that he trusted, including Darling and Hedron. While Darling created Hedron resonance amplifiers to stop the spread of the Hiss, Trench told people not to wear them, truly believing that Darling and Hedron were the malevolent force, rather than the one that he was now working for, you could say.
This is my final message. It's not the end. But after this, I won't. I exposed myself to Hedron resonance fully. Trench was exposed to this other. It will now spread. I've done everything I can to stop the Hedron resonance amplifiers.
With the burnt slide that Trench had taken and the slide projector, he released the Hiss into the Bureau before using his directorial gun on himself.
The Hiss got Trench first. He turned on the projector. He let them in.
Although it is a little unclear if Jesse actually shot him to begin with, and she just didn't really remember that. But either way, after she touches the gun, Jesse accidentally gains the position of director. Despite his death, he's still able to communicate with Jesse through the object of power known as the hotline.
Something's coming. This threat. An attack. Duty as director.
For now, Jesse must confront the Hiss.
You can't let this happen. 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 You stopped it. You. Oh, thank you.
This force invaded the oldest house on the day that Jesse arrived and had already corrupted most of the building and people who weren't protected by HRAs, including her brother, who was researched, experimented on, and groomed to be the next director. Dylan had been living the last 17 years since the ordinary event in his paranatural prison, and kind of reasonably so, he became so unpredictable and violent that he murdered an agent paranaturally. Despite the increased restrictions and isolation, the stress caused him to kill several other agents as well. Dylan was then moved to a containment cell in the Panopticon, where he was deemed a lost cause by Darling and pretty much abandoned by everybody except Polaris, who was still telepathically connected to him since Ordinary, but he didn't really listen to her. Dylan's anger made him more easily corruptible by the Hiss, and he enjoyed it. He saw it as more of a friend and savior when it arrived, even aiding in its pursuit to take over humanity.
Do you know who you are?
Not Dylan. Trench and Darling made sure of that. I'm P6. P6. But I'm better now. The Hiss made me better.
Push the fingers through the surface into the wet. You've always been the new you. You want this
Can you
to
stop
be
that?
true.
It feels good to say those words. I welcome the hiss. I let it in. To get rid of her. The hiss set me free. Polaris is using you. The Bureau is using you. You are a puppet.
In order to save her brother and humanity from this force, she must bind with several objects of power and communicate with the godlike paranatural entity known as the Board. This group exists within the astral plane. They are related to many paranatural anomalies, objects of power, the oldest house, and the director. As the new director of the Bureau, you must assist and communicate with the Board in order to do your job, although they are shady. Throughout the game, we are encountered by many enemies infected by the hiss. We are forced to take them out as we can't clear the parasite from their system. And binding with the objects that I mentioned before allows us to use a variety of abilities from levitation to telekinesis in order to cleanse the hiss from the entire building. Then we must save Polaris Hedron from the hiss, but the containment that it's in is destroyed.
Poster comes down and there's nothing there.
Now, for me, I assumed an entity force like wouldn't be strictly like in a box. So like it wasn't really a surprise to me. Feels like it was supposed to be a big plot twist, but nonetheless, Jesse truly believes that Polaris is gone. And now the hiss kind of has a way in. This emotional spin sends her into a prison of her own mind where she's in a mental battle with the hiss as she learns how and what it means to be director.
This is my mess to clean up. My fight. No one else's. I am the director.
She regains control of her body, and although she was director from the beginning, she's now mentally the director, and you can see it in her now and hear that in the way that she speaks. And Polaris comes back. Basically, a part of Polaris was embedded in Jesse back in Ordinary, and it's just been dormant this whole time until Hedron was destroyed, and it became alive, and now Jesse is essentially a beacon or an amplifier for the Hedron resonance.
Maybe Hedron put you in our heads when we met her. Maybe you were always there, and she was just trying to teach me how to trigger you. Maybe I'll never understand. Maybe I don't need to.
At least that's what I've gathered. I can't deny that it is a kind of confusing story. One, there is a ton of lore, but also it's just kind of how it is with a game like this where there's, you know, you're trying to break reality but still keep a consistent story. You know, it can be hard to keep things consistent enough to not be confusing, so there's still confusing things here and there. But anyway, Jesse cleanses the whole building and the board, then has to cleanse Dylan. Unfortunately, he falls into a coma from this.
I don't know if there's anything of him left in there. If he'll ever find his way back. The portal's been closed, but the hiss is still in the oldest house. I'm the director of the Federal Bureau of Control. We're in this together. You and I.
Control does have post-game content, so there is more, but that's for another video. So, what are my thoughts? Let's start with the ending. It's an open ending, and yes, an open ending is not a bad thing. Quantum Break, another Remedy Entertainment game that I love, did a great job with an open ending. Also, they claim that Quantum Break is not in this universe, but there's so many ties to it, I disagree. But Control's ending feels unfinished in a way. Like, you're in the same place as you were in the beginning. We're still fighting the hiss and Dylan isn't with us. It just kind of lacks luster, ending on a flat note. They do bring out the coolest gameplay, like controlling enemies, levitation, honestly some of the coolest powers I've ever seen in a video game. Although I did kind of find myself cursing at the difficulty of the game. Where you level up abilities, it just kind of feels to me like a Jessie is always kind of weak. I thought I was just bad at the game, but there is a similar consensus online. I found myself adjusting the assist mode multipliers several times because the game would go from low enemies to a difficult boss quickly, or when I increased the percentage, it was just too easy of a game. Although, I do like how they insert the backstory. Much of the story that I care about kind of happens before Jessie gets there, and we learn of it through case files, Dr. Darling's videos, Trench's ghost files, and more. Like, a lot more. I'm not kidding, there's hundreds of these documents you can find. The lore of this game is dense as hell. But I love having documents on these different enemies. The world building pieces are important, and I've read like every single one while I've been playing this, and they are so interesting and so fun. It is a lot, but I want these things and I love that they're in here. However, it does kind of create a sense of disconnection between the story and the gameplay to me. When I was trying to write bullet points for this script, it was kind of hard to explain, but less emotional connection isn't necessarily bad. Tons of video games are more strategy-based plots. Just, for me, it's just not my thing. Not to mention, I wasn't that impressed with a lot of the characters either. I mean, the character design was awesome. Let me be clear, it looked great. I could see all the details. It was beautiful. But I just can't get myself to care about most of them. I like Jessie. Her and Dylan's backstories are captivating. She is a very strong individual, and Darling can easily capture the nation's hearts through his videos. Ahti and Emily are characters I like, but we don't know much about them. In the base game, Emily, Marshall, Arish, and Langston feel mostly a means to an end, a way to get answers and have some to move the plot forward, but they aren't super flushed out personality-wise, in my opinion. The voice actors did a great job. I mean, the acting was definitely very lively and brought character to that.
Oh, hello. Is there something I can help you with?
I'm Jessie, the new director.
New director? Right, well, okay. Hello, I'm Frederick Langston, the Panopticon supervisor. Put in a steady 8 hours a day for another 10 years, and voila, supervisor.
I just picked up a gun.
Jessie, did you get the hotline? I mean, how is it out there? The comms, the hiss? Sorry, you made it. I'm glad.
Emily? Let's talk. I got the hotline. I can make out what Trench is saying now.
Incredible. What did he say?
Ma'am! Hey! Chief Arish, FBC Security. Shouldn't you be in a safe room?
They all have HRAs. We're on the same side.
I'm here to perform the directorial override to get the lockdown lifted.
Yeah, Chief Arish, FBC Security. Oh, hang on, you're the new director. It's a pleasure, ma'am.
Let's skip the formalities, please.
Right. Faden, ma'am. Look, as you can probably tell, it's a bit of a shit show down here.
The employee manual offers a series of helpful actions to assist in mitigating a crisis. Would you like me to list them for you?
No. What's your guys' deal?
I just wish there was a little bit more backstory to the character itself. Emily you get friendly and kind of comfy with, but the rest of them, there's just not too much of a personal connection that I can really get as much as I want, which isn't always the intention with a video game, but that's my personal one that I didn't really get. I'm actually really curious about what you guys think about friendships and different relationships in video games. Like, how much do you care about it? Please let me know in the comments below. Control has great additions, like its exciting DLCs, but more on that in later videos. But I keep coming back to Dylan. He just feels kind of lackluster to me. Like, I don't come out of the story really caring about Dylan. Like, of course I want to save him, but I want to save everybody else too. And when he falls into the coma, I don't really care if he'll wake up or not as a viewer or player. But what do you guys think? Did you love the ending? Am I not giving these characters the praise they deserve? Please let me know in the comments down below. I will be making more videos on this video game and its universe, so please subscribe to stay tuned and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Have a good night.